Hello from WKYT News. I'm Bill Bryant. We welcome you to Kentucky Newsmakers. There is a hard-fought race for Congress in the 6th District because Republican Andy Barr is leaving it open as he is pursuing a U.S. Senate seat. The Democrats are hoping to flip the seat for the first time since Ben Chandler was defeated and left the seat after the 2012 election. Over the months, we have heard from several candidates, including Sherilyn Stevenson, who is a former state representative, Zach Dembo, who is a former federal prosecutor and military veteran who also served in Governor Andy Beshear's administration, and former Lexington council member and businessman David Kloiber. Today, Erin Petrey is joining us. She's a native Kentuckian who worked in Washington for several years before returning to make this race. Welcome. We appreciate you coming in.
Thank you so much, Bill. It's a pleasure to be here.
Is that fair to say that you came home to jump into this 6th District race?
Well, I've been trying to come home for a long time, Bill. You know, back in 2022, I looked for jobs here. Back when first after I did my master's degree at the Patterson School of Diplomacy, I tried to get a job. There weren't jobs here. I came back from teaching English in Korea. There weren't jobs here. And I've been looking for jobs back here for a long time, but nothing has ever really opened. And so I came home. I didn't come back to run, but I came home.
Tell us about what you were doing in Washington. What is your professional background and what would you bring to Congress?
Yeah, absolutely. So like I said, I did my master's at the Patterson School of Diplomacy and International Commerce at UK. My dream was to be a diplomat. I wanted to go around the world as a foreign service officer and telling people how amazing American democracy is. But graduating at the height of the recession, there again weren't any opportunities. So I went and I taught public school. And then when I came back, I ended up moving back to DC. I ran a foreign embassy for 2 years. I helped the post-revolutionary Libyan government reestablish relations with the United States government. My third day there was Benghazi. Have some crazy stories about international crises there. But then after that, I went into the private sector doing large-scale infrastructure deployment. So I was a program manager and a strategic director for companies that built everything from large-scale energy, renewable energy production, EV charging, and I even worked on hospital projects over in the Middle East.
Sustainability has been your calling card.
Yeah, renewable energy and sustainability. And growing up on a farm in Lawrenceburg, I was always taken by the beauty and the amazing environment around us, and I always wanted to make sure that I could do what I could to preserve it.
You've called for a full moratorium on data centers.
Yes, sir.
You know, how do you do that without inhibiting the growth of artificial intelligence?
Well, honestly, the growth of artificial intelligence is something that I feel like most of these companies, especially the 7 that control the value of the S&P 500, they are over-indexing on it, especially at the detractor of our actual working people. So right now we have all of these private companies going out there and trying to make billions and billions off of our natural resources, not actually creating jobs, just so they can continue to jack up their own profits. Artificial intelligence can be a great tool, but it's not the panacea that all of these companies are making it. This data center moratorium, which I've created an initiative called Demanding Data Center Accountability, where different elected officials as well as candidates for office can go in and sign their name to a pledge calling for a full moratorium on data centers, refusing to take money from data center developers, operators, and lobbyists, and then also committing to working to actual standards. And that bill is what we're lacking. We have no standards for data centers from the top to the bottom.
What about artificial intelligence overall? Do you think Congress is going to have to look at that?
They must.
In the months and years ahead.
They absolutely must. However, currently the majority of folks in Congress seem to be bought and sold by these companies that are controlling artificial intelligence. And so there currently is no incentive to actually hold that back. We also have an administration in the White House and controlling Washington that thinks that AI and artificial intelligence, generative AI, is the best thing since sliced bread without actually understanding what it does.
What do you think your reception has been out there? You have called yourself the most progressive candidate in the race, and you say you wear that badge proudly. You know, this is a district that has been represented by Republicans most of this century.
Sure.
How do you win in the 6th District?
Yeah, so I think that also generally Lexington especially and Kentucky broadly has changed quite a bit, especially since 2016. Now, I did work for Ben Chandler as an intern back when the district was held by a Democrat back when I was in graduate school at UK. And the truth is that progressive voices have been silenced, but also the Democratic Party has really gotten away from serving working people. It's become the party that also answers to corporations and corporate and special interests, just like the Republican Party has. And when I've gone out there, going back to your question, what's that reception been? More often than not, people say, Erin, thank goodness that there's a real progressive out there. We are tired of just asking and settling for Republican light or the most centrist or moderates. And I think that it's because we haven't had anyone actually hold that banner up proudly. And calling yourself a progressive is really half that battle, because I'm not afraid of wearing that badge.
We don't know, of course, which party will control Congress at
No.
the end of this election. In either case, the margins will likely be close.
Yes.
Can you compromise?
Absolutely. I mean, listen, I have a master's in diplomacy, right? I had my undergraduate degree in international affairs. I wanted my job to be one that was all about compromise. And being in the private sector, I worked in southern Mississippi, southern Alabama, rural North Carolina, in Georgia, and South Carolina. I've worked in the Middle East. To think that the folks at the Libyan embassy were good liberals, I question that, right? I'm someone who wants to get things done. But as I've said multiple times throughout this race, is that I'm tired of us negotiating with ourselves before we even go to negotiate with the Republicans. So if we're already settling for less within our own party, we're going to get so much less when we come to the negotiating table.
You're watching this redistricting, no
Yes.
doubt, that is going on. Do you feel that will inhibit the Democrats' chances of taking over the House?
Well, I don't think that we've even seen the beginning of this yet, right? Because now we've seen Louisiana, Alabama, and Florida come in right after Tennessee came in. I don't think that we've seen the end of this battle. It could inhibit it, but it could also lead to potential Supreme Court rulings that could change our democracy. Which way, I don't know. It's really disappointing to me to see that this entire Supreme Court has been fully bought and sold by the GOP. But I would hope that something comes to them that they see that this is the wrong side of history to be on, and that is not how the Constitution intended districting to be.
What would be your approach to health care? President Trump has said the Affordable Care Act should be replaced with something better.
Yes.
Do you think the ACA is the way forward? I know you have called for positions that are more progressive or more left than the ACA, right?
Well, here's the thing. 32 of the 33 wealthiest countries in the world have universal health care. Guess which one we are? We are the only country of our type that does not have universal health care, let alone maternity leave, mandated maternity leave. I think it's us in Papua New Guinea and maybe 2 other countries. We are so far behind the developed world in the way that we treat our people. We give more to corporations and the ultra wealthy than we do just regular working people. That's why I'm unapologetic about Medicare for all. But it's not just something that sounds good. It also makes sense fiscally. It can save anywhere from $500 billion to in the trillions. And yes, healthcare executives are going to see a pay cut, but frankly, I don't care about serving them. I care about serving the people of Kentucky and the people in America who have been left behind just for the profits of the insurance industry.
You would want to see then a government-run health care.
Well, I think that there's a lot of ways to do that. First off, we have the VA. My mother is on Medicare, and I'm not talking about Medicare Advantage, which is also sullied by the private sector, right? But my mom, everyone I know who has true Medicare, and I believe it's with parts D and G that they have, they say it's the best health insurance they've ever had. And my mom worked for a pharmaceutical company for a long time, and she had very good health insurance.
You also call for more federal funding for education.
Absolutely.
And where would you see that being invested?
Yeah, absolutely. So the way that I'm looking at that, and I'm talking to some friends of mine in DC who have been working on education policy about how to shape this, but what I propose is a style of moonshot program that gives grants out to districts for a 10 to 15 year period to close that gap between their current pay and a living wage. The fact that here in Kentucky, we are the 48th and 49th for starting teacher pay and classified staff pay is absurd. Our students, our educators in our schools are the economic engine of our society. So why are we selling ourselves short? But one of the biggest challenges is that we pay lawyers more than we pay teachers. So we need to really reorient what we truly value. And that should be our kids, our education, and the people who are taking care of them.
You also, you talk about a living wage.
Yes.
And do you support a basic
like UBI?
income, UBI, yeah.
No, I don't. I mean, so here's the thing with UBI, right? I feel like UBI sounds good, but
Universal basic income.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah, universal basic income.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that sounds good, and maybe in the future we could get there. But right now, we really need to get to that living wage. People are working 2 or 3 jobs just to make ends meet, and they're still falling behind. The challenge I have with UBI, first off, I don't think that it would actually pass, let alone, it's going to be a challenge to get a living wage passed, but that's a challenge worth having. UBI, I feel like, just doesn't quite beat that. What I would rather do is start closing these gaps on critical social areas such as healthcare, education, daycare, housing, to make sure that people don't fall through the cracks. Because currently, sure, you could give someone $35,000 a year, but that doesn't mean that they are then going to be able to afford housing, afford groceries, afford healthcare.
Should President Trump be able to conduct a military action in the Middle East without congressional approval?
No, absolutely not. I don't think any president, regardless of who they are, should be able to carry out military. I mean, this is a war. They are dropping bombs. They are murdering people. They are sending troops over there. That's a war. Just because you don't call it a war, it's kind of like, if it quacks like a duck, it's not a duck. You're like, no, that's definitely a duck. This is a war. It doesn't matter what you call it. It is a war, and the president should not have this particular power because, as the Constitution says, that is owned by Congress. But we now have a precedence of almost over a century of presidents going in and declaring kind of war but not war on other countries.
Have you gotten along with the other Democratic candidates in this primary?
Yeah, for the most part, yeah. I mean, listen, some of them I text frequently, I will say that, and you can find me chatting with them at various events. And, some of us have had some of the similar challenges, and some of us will chat and support each other.
So you'll support your party's nominee?
Yes, of course.
Whoever that is.
Yes, of course.
What do you do the next few days here to try to win this nomination?
Well, the thing is that voters don't vote if they don't know who you are, and voters don't know if they don't know what you stand for. I have been very clear from the beginning in what I stand for, but I'm working to continue to knock doors, to meet with folks. I was just asked by someone in Montgomery County to come and speak to their school. I am spending every moment I have getting out there, meeting with voters, talking with voters, and making sure that people know that I am in their communities, I am accessible, and I am ready to get the work done.
Erin Petrey is a Democratic candidate for Congress in this primary that's right around the corner. Thanks for coming.
Yes,
we appreciate it.
Thank you, Bill. I appreciate it.
And stay with us. We'll talk with Visit Lex about tourism in Lexington in just a moment on Kentucky Newsmakers. Welcome back to Kentucky Newsmakers. It was a terrific spring meet at Keeneland. It is wrapped up. People are planning their summer trips and vacations now. And with history, horses, and bourbon, Lexington makes the case that it can be a year-round destination. And the amenities keep coming online to underscore that. Mary Quinn Raymer is joining us from Visit Lex to get us up to date on tourism in the region. Thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Always appreciate it.
My pleasure.
It does seem it was quite a spring meet at Keeneland.
Yes.
There's always some Derby spillover. Is 2026 off to a good run in tourism for this area?
Oh, well, we say that our official tourism season kicks off in March, of course, basketball season, and we go right into the spring meet, and April was spectacular. We had a really good meet. It was fantastic weather, so for all those out there making its shine on race day, I really appreciate it. And we were so delighted to be able to showcase all of Keeneland's new buildings and hospitality spaces. They've just done a phenomenal job in expanding their campus, continuing to open their doors wide for our visitors, and I think people really enjoyed the new spaces and had a new way to experience a familiar place.
You know, the meets happen twice a year, but then you remind people out there that they can tour thoroughbred farms in the region, that there is equine culture beyond just the meets that really is year-round.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, you can go to Keeneland almost every day of the year as well. It's really a treat to be out there for the morning workouts. You just get a completely different sense of what it takes to train a racehorse when you're there without the crowds and they're really working the horses and preparing them for what a race day might look like. But as you mentioned, we are so blessed with all of these stunning, spectacular horse farms in the Blue bluegrass. Many of those farms are open for tour experiences. It's a great way to get up close and personal with these wonderful animals. It's also just really interesting to hear about how people take care of these horses during the various stages of their lives. And we have a wonderful attraction as well in the Kentucky Horse Park. Quite possibly the best place to get close to a horse, in addition to being a world-class equestrian competition facility. So many different ways that equine culture can be experienced every single day of the year.
Let's talk about the economic impact of tourism in the bluegrass region. How much difference does it make?
Well, it makes a huge difference. As a matter of fact, we had last year a $2 billion economic impact from tourism. So that's billion with a B. Wow. And it employs about 12,000 people in Lexington and about double that if you include the region. So there are a number of people that get up every single day and go to work in terms of making their job in the hospitality industry. So we know that it helps put food on tables and homes all across this community. And we also know that we benefit as locals with a lower tax bill by virtue of what tourists are spending in our city every single day. So you as a taxpayer, as a tax-paying household in Fayette County, save about $550 each year by virtue of what the visitors spend and what that offset provides. So it is real money. It makes a real difference. And furthermore, we just get the opportunity to share our culture with people from around the world, which is really fun.
Do you think we all have a responsibility in the hospitality business? I mean, protecting that reputation that Kentucky has, that it is a friendly place to visit. That's what we hear so much of. There's a lot to see and do, but it seems to be the people that folks are really drawn to.
I couldn't agree more. We are very fortunate to live in a beautiful state. This whole state could practically be a park in and of itself. It's so stunningly beautiful from east to west. But we also have a remarkable culture of hospitality, and that has everything to do with the people that call Lexington home. And so I love it when our visitors get the opportunity to interact and break bread with our locals. That happens many ways. As a matter of fact, we get feedback all the time from our visitors that they just cannot get over how nice people in Kentucky are, and we love that. It is part of our differentiating factor.
When people visit or contact Visit Lex and they want to know more about things to do, what do you generally tell them?
Well, of course, we always ask them first, what are the types of things that you're interested in, or what are the ages of the people that are in your party? But there's no doubt that we lead with horses and bourbon. Those are our two signature industries that are very distinct Kentucky industries. We're really proud of how homegrown they are, given the fact that they have such a global reach. Very glad that the bourbon industry is headed in the right direction with these tariffs, and glad to see those changes taking place. It makes it so much easier on our bourbon partners. But there's also so much outdoor adventure, whether you're interested in, traveling an hour to the east and hiking in the Red River Gorge, or you're interested in doing something a little closer to home. We obviously have the zip line tour. We have kayaking and canoeing along the Elkhorn and the Kentucky rivers. And so there's many ways that you can get out and play, and we'd love to invite folks to do just that.
Do you find that some people do sort of hub in Lexington where there are the restaurants and things
Yes.
to do, and then make those trips to the gorge or to the lakes or to
Yes.
other attractions?
Central Kentucky offers a great hub and spoke trip, and so we work with people on their itineraries. A lot of folks just love getting out into some of these small towns and seeing what small town charm has to offer them. Midway is one of the places that we hear quite a bit about, how charming it is. So I think folks do appreciate being headquartered in Lexington with the nightlife and the entertainment, of course, broader hotel variety. But it's super easy to make the region part of that experience. And quite honestly, they don't know where our county lines start and stop, so they're just delighted to be here and have so much at their fingertips.
We hear a lot about the Bourbon Trail. It continues to develop and be busy. I also noticed on your website something called the Brewgrass Trail.
Yes.
Yeah, what does that mean?
Well, that's a fun spin on the Bourbon Trail, and as you know, over the last decade, 15 years, we've had just prolific investment in our craft brewing scene, which is really fun. So there are a number of craft breweries, so we thought, why not have a little play on words, bluegrass, brewgrass. So we have, I want to say, about 15 different breweries in and around this region that have a unique brewing culture, and many of them with tasting rooms and experiences as well. And so we love sending folks out. Not everyone is interested in drinking bourbon, and so beer is another good choice that we can say, hey, this is local, this is locally made. We think you'll get a kick out of visiting.
What do you tell people who are considering Lexington for their conference or convention? And there are a number of those now, and the capacity to handle those has grown over the years.
Yes, as a matter of fact, it has also been a busy convention season. There's lots of folks that have been in and out of our downtown convention center, Central Bank Center. When we're working with meeting planners and we're giving them the sales pitch on the city, we talk about how accessible, how affordable. We talk about things like complimentary shuttle transportation between the hotels and the airport. We talk about how close the airport is to all of our hotel properties. And then once we've checked some of those very key boxes, we talk a lot about the opportunities that their attendees are going to have to visit and really get into the local community. So they love being able to take their attendees onto these horse farms or offer them an off-site bourbon tasting experience. And they love the culture of Kentucky, the music, the food, the hospitality. So I think those continue to be really strong selling factors.
There's the Lextran Loop now downtown.
Yes, there is downtown, making it extremely easy to get from 3 of our downtown neighborhoods without having to get in and out of your car multiple times in an evening. So we've got the warehouse block over along National and Walton Avenue. We have the core of downtown, of course, and then we have the Distillery District. So all 3 bustling little neighborhoods in and of themselves, but it's really fun when you can spend the evening taking that, making that loop for next to nothing. It only costs you $1 to ride. So
I don't know if there's a simple answer to this question, but can locals be tourists too? I mean,
of course.
I mean, because all of a sudden, maybe they have some time, maybe they decided they're not going to take that trip with higher gas prices and so on. So a lot of folks may be staying closer to home and just trying to discover what's in their backyard.
As a matter of fact, we just celebrated National Travel and Tourism Week, and it is a great reason to remind locals to get out and explore their very own hometowns. And so if you feel like you've done everything in Lexington, I promise you haven't done everything in the region. So find some place that you haven't been and get on their tourism website and plan a trip. It's a great way to really appreciate the history and the culture and the different attractions that we have in Central Kentucky.
How much of a game changer has Gatton Park been downtown?
It has just been so fun to take what was a parking lot and turn it into this beautiful park. I love popping down there, whether it's during the day or even on the weekends and the evenings. It is bustling with activity, people doing all kinds of things. For the rest of the month of May, there is a great art installation that's up that is larger than life flowers, and they illuminate at night. It's just magical. They have really great programming, so it has been a game changer for giving folks who are in our downtown core a space that feels like, hey, this is a gathering place for everybody. And it is a great way for visitors and locals to find themselves in a conversation.
They've had some concerts and planned some others.
Yes, they've got some others on the books for this year. So I think they're doing really great programming.
There were proposals before the state legislature that didn't get funding, such as for a performing arts center. You've told me before that might be one missing piece.
I think, yes, I think we do have the opportunity to have a state-of-the-art facility that could do larger productions. I think that's something that we can continue to work on. Unfortunately, we didn't get the outcome we hoped for in Frankfort this session. I'm really glad that the Children's Museum did receive some funding from Frankfort this session. I think that is going to be fantastic to have the Children's Museum with a completely reimagined footprint and space that is all on their own, and I think it will give us that downtown signature attraction that we have been looking for, and so I'm really excited about what's to come there. And then of course there's other pieces that we need to fill in. We still need more sleeping rooms in our downtown core to accommodate the larger attendance conventions, and so that's one piece that we know we still got to chip away at, but we've made good progress over the last decade, and I think you'll continue to see good things to come.
Expect some big crowds this summer and in the months
I sure
ahead.
hope so.
Mary Quinn Raymer from Visit Lex, always good to see you, and the website is Visit Lex.
VisitLex.com. We'd love to have you check us out.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Stay with us. We'll be back on Kentucky Newsmakers in a moment. Before we go here on Kentucky Newsmakers, early voting wrapped up this weekend. The past few days saw steady voting at polling places. Secretary of State Michael Adams is predicting a turnout of about 20% statewide when it's all said and done. But Fayette County Clerk Susan Lamb says the turnout could reach 30% in Lexington. Primary Election Day itself is coming up on Tuesday. Polls will be open that day statewide from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. local time. Now on election night, WKYT will be your source for voting results. Beginning at 6 p.m., we'll bring you the latest results as they roll in from around the region. And we'll have returns and reports from campaign headquarters throughout the evening as well. We plan an election special from WKYT News that will be from 7 to 8 on WKYT. And you can follow along on our WKYT News app or on our website, WKYT.com. You can also check out our website for our Lexington mayoral debate and our 6th District Congressional debate. The Democrats debated, and that is on WKYT.com as well. And next on Kentucky Newsmakers, we hope to hear from some of the primary winners. That's Kentucky Newsmakers for this week. We certainly hope you make it a good week ahead.